after my fiancé traded his military merits to break off our engagement. Everyone watched me like a laughingstock. But the very next day, my childhood sweetheart came to propose. For 7 years after our marriage, he treated me like a precious jewel, silencing all the gossip, until that flower viewing banquet, when my elder sister and I both fell into the water. He saved my sister first, leaving me nearly drowned. With a bitter smile, I swallowed the fake death potion. 7 days later, when the potion took effect, our bond would be severed forever. Miss, are you truly resolved? Honestly, aside from this incident, your husband has always treated you well. The maid looked at me with concern, her words laced with heartache. Her name was Shuetsue, a maid my mother had given me as part of my dowry. She witnessed every hardship I endured and knew how deeply I loved Shui. Yet recalling yesterday's flower viewing banquet, my heart felt like it was being torn apart. My husband, who had shared 7 years of affection with me, when danger struck, he instinctively rushed toward my elder sister. And me, nearly drowned, didn't even glance my way. I tugged at my bitter lips and nodded without hesitation. Give it to me. If I stay here, I fear it'll end up like my mother, buried forever in the city that devours its own. Shuetsue wiped away her tears and brought the bowl of brewed medicine to me. Miss, we don't know what will happen after you take this. If it hurts, bite me. Seeing Shuesui's resolute expression, a wave of warmth washed over me. In this world, there was still someone who cared about me. I lifted the bowl and drank it down in one gulp without blinking. The medicine was bitter, unbearably bitter, yet compared to my current predicament, it was insignificant. Within moments, excruciating pain erupted in my abdomen. It felt as though countless ants were gnawing at my flesh. Just as the agony threatened to make me faint, the door burst open. Chui's hair was disheveled, as if had run all the way back. Seeing the sweat beading on my forehead, he hurried to the bedside and pulled me into his arms. Iner, don't be afraid. I'm back. The sincerity in his eyes was deeply moving, as if he truly loved me to the core. Yet the faint, lingering scent of dew ruo on his body reminded me he had come from my elder sister. My heart sank once more. I stared at him fixedly as tears slid down my cheeks. In 7 days, I would vanish forever from his world. No matter how he called out, I would not linger. Early the next morning, the moment I opened my eyes, Chui's weary gaze met mine. He seemed to have kept vigil by my bedside all night. Iner, you're awake. You gave me quite a scare last night. I was confused, sensing something unusual about him today. Shuetsue, standing nearby, spoke cautiously. Miss, the physician says you are already 1 month pregnant. Hearing this, I sat bolt upright in bed, my eyes widening in astonishment. What? How could I? The child I'd longed for 7 years without success. I never imagined it would arrive at this moment. Chui's expression seemed joyful, yet his smile didn't reach his eyes. Seeing my genuine shock, he suddenly exhaled in relief. To see Iner happy is surely a blessing for this child. His words felt oddly off. In the past, I would have picked apart his mistakes and argued with him, but now, I listened numbly. Even the strength to respond seemed to have vanished. Iner, about yesterday, I knew he wanted to explain why he hadn't saved me, but my mind was a chaotic mess. My head splitting with pain. I truly couldn't bear to deal with his lies anymore. I'm not feeling well, husband. Please rest in the study these next few days. Iner. Before he could refuse, Shuetsue had already pushed him out the door. Even as he was pushed out, he didn't forget to remind me. Iner, if you feel unwell, remember to seek me out. Sitting on the bed, I stared blankly at my still flat abdomen. My once dry eyes welled up with tears once more. This child had come at the worst possible time. Like me, it was a child unwanted from the moment of its conception. My mother hailed from the distant northern lands, a savior to the current empress. To repay her debt of gratitude, the empress bestowed upon my mother a marriage to the Duke of Dingwa. Thus, she became the sole concubine in the entire capital to hold an imperial decree. Later, she gave birth to me but died in childbirth. The empress then betrothed me to her own nephew, Pei Qingxian. But Pei Qingxian had set his heart on my elder sister. He poured all his military achievements into securing a marriage contract with her. That day, the entire capital waited to witness my humiliation. It was Chu Yi, the heir to the Marquis of Yangon, who grew up with me, who saved me. Defying his parents' objections, he resolutely came to propose marriage. For 7 years after our wedding, he cherished me deeply, drawing envy from all in the capital. Even when my mother-in-law tormented me, I endured it all, until recently, when rumors began circulating from who knows where. This Marquis Chu, you see, truly loves his wife's elder sister. He married the second daughter of the Mu family only to placate Lady Pei. Otherwise, with her mother being a concubine with an imperial decree, who knows what chaos she might have stirred up. I refused to believe these baseless rumors. Yet reality slapped me hard across the face, mocking my foolishness, the pain tearing at my heart. I lay in bed for 3 full days, unable to decide whether to keep this child. Until that evening, when Shui came to announce, "Miss, General Pei's wife is here." General Pei's wife, me elder sister, Mu Qingge. Her birth mother was my father's first wife, showered with boundless affection from birth. Without waiting for my consent, Mu Qingge strode in uninvited. "Oh, I heard my dear sister has the joy of pregnancy. I came especially to offer my congratulations." Though we both fell into the water, her face glowed rosy, showing no sign of illness. I, on the other hand, lay pale as paper, too weak to rise from the bed. Seeing my silence, she paid it no mind. After scanning the room for a long while, her gaze finally settled on my wrist. No wonder, the engraving has worn away, spilling the medicinal powder inside and rendering it ineffective. I followed her line of sight to my wrist. There, as always, rested the lotus sand mandarin duck bracelet Chewy had given me. The patterns were vividly lifelike, said to be crafted from a rare treasure Chewy had specially sought out for me. I wore it almost daily, a symbol of our marital affection. "What do you mean by that?" I asked coldly, with only a few days left before my departure. I cared little for such superficial niceties. Hearing this, Mu Qingge smiled smugly. "Mu Fanyin, do you know why you and Chewy have remained childless after 7 years of marriage? It's because Chewy still has feelings for me. He fears you might bear a child before me," causing me heartbreak. I could scarcely believe my ears. No wonder Chewy looked so strange this morning. Suspected ID discovered something. So the treasure ID always cherished was actually a contraceptive. A sharp, stabbing pain instantly shot through my chest. I gasped for breath, my voice trembling uncontrollably. "So as long as you haven't given birth, hell kill my child, right?" Mu Qingge just stared at me, saying nothing, but the arrogance in her eyes spoke volumes. "Well, what can you do? Chewy loves me. If you don't believe me, come find me tomorrow at the 10,000 gold pavilion. They'll let you hear it clearly." With that, she swayed away. As she stepped outside, she collided with Chewy. Instantly, her eyes filled with tears. I clearly saw a flicker of pain in Chewy's eyes. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. But nothing could ease the ache in my heart. After Mu Qingge left, Chewy still stared dreamily at her receding figure. For a long while, the wind chilled his chest. Only then did Chewy close the door and slowly step inside. "Qingge is frail. Having her come see you must have been quite taxing for her." Anyone with eyes could see Mu Qingge was radiant with joy, utterly content. Yet his wife, who had fallen into the water and caught a chill while pregnant, looked utterly haggard. But he chose to turn a blind eye. No, it was that his eyes held only Mu Qingge, leaving no room for anyone else. "Husband, We've been married 7 years. This is my first pregnancy. Has mother-in-law been informed? Chewy fiddled with the bracelet on my wrist. His gaze evasive. Mother is advanced in years. It's fine to tell her once you're feeling better. Just as I suspected. He was certain my child wouldn't survive. So there was no need to inform his mother. Yet all these years, I'd endured torment for being childless. Could he truly see none of it? Chewy looked uneasy, seemingly pondering how to persuade me. I mocked myself inwardly, feigning lightness as I spoke. Then I'll leave everything to you. My lord. At my words, his eyes lit up instantly, completely oblivious to the unease in my expression. Then rest well. Einar. I'm heading to the study. Watching his receding figure, I desperately reminded myself, as long as I don't care, my heart won't ache. Early the next morning, Shuetsue came to inform me. Chewy had slipped away alone. Calculating the timing, I went to the Wanjin pavilion mentioned by Muchinga, accompanied by Shuetsue. She had already reserved a seat for me, thoughtfully laid out with fruits and melons. Soon, the door next door opened. A familiar voice drifted out. Brother Pei. Is this medicine guaranteed to only terminate Einar's child without harming her body? Rest assured. Brother Chu. This medicine was sourced by my Pei family from the northern lands. It is absolutely safe. That's good. Einar has been with me for 7 years. I don't want her to be hurt. My deepest gratitude to you, Brother Chu. Chinga is her elder sister. If she gives birth first, how could Chinga ever hold her own? These two men were all too familiar to me. One was my former fiancé, the other my current husband. Chu Yi was truly generous. For Mu Qing's sake, he conspired with his rival to kill his own child. Tears fell silently, threatening to topple me from my feet. I waited until the room next door finally fell quiet. Staggering, I collapsed into Shuesui's arms and wept uncontrollably. Why? Both the young mistress and the concubine are such good people. Why must they suffer such injustice? Shuechui choked back sobs, voicing my grievance. I bit my lip hard, suffocation gripping me tight. Heart-wrenching pain solidified into tangible form at that moment. Shuechui and I wandered until curfew before returning to the manor. Now, I only wish this child could stay within me a few more days. On the way back, Chu Yi was visible from afar, pacing anxiously by the gate. Our eyes met, and he rushed toward me, pulling me tightly into his embrace. Einar, where did you go? I couldn't find you anywhere. I thought. Chu Yi's voice trembled, laced with a fear born of uncertainty. So he worried about me too. Not wanting to overthink it, I slipped free from his arms. I've been bedridden for days, feeling sluggish, so I took Shuechui out for a stroll. This is for you. The jade pendant was crudely crafted, bearing a small carved character for Blasinga cheap trinket ID bought on a whim by the roadside. Chu Yi took it, his expression instinctively betraying a hint of disdain. Yet he still smiled, his eyes bright, telling me, as long as it's from Einar, I'll cherish it. My heart grew colder still. Sure enough, no matter what I gave him, he would accept it for Mu Qing's sake. He must find it truly difficult to play the role of a loving husband with me day after day. Ever since taking the fake death potion, my body had grown increasingly weak. Standing in this cold wind for just a moment left me chilled to the bone. Shuechui helped me back to my room, while Chu Yi gave me a few parting words before retreating to his study as usual. Truthfully, if had shown even a shred of genuine care, he would have noticed my change. Alas, his feelings for me were nothing but calculation. The final day of the fake death potion had arrived. Sitting in the courtyard, I caressed my belly with lingering affection. Inside, a living soul still thrived, soon to be snuffed out by its own father. My heart had long since numbed to the pain. Chu Yi carefully brought a porcelain bowl, his voice as gentle as ever. Einar, I've prepared today's pregnancy-preserving medicine. Drink it while it's still warm. I lifted my eyes to meet his, searching his face for a flicker of remorse. But reality was bound to disappoint me. I pressed my lips together, my fist clenched tightly beneath my sleeve. Chu Lang. This medicine is so bitter. Could I drink it later? My voice carried a hint of pleading as I unexpectedly addressed him as Chu Lang once more. Yet Chui's heart and eyes were entirely fixed on Muchinga, merely holding out the medicine bowl. Good Ener. I brought some candied fruit. Drinking it while hot will make the medicine more effective. I bit my lip hard, the metallic taste of blood spreading in my mouth. After a long moment, I forced a bright smile and took the bowl, downing it in one gulp. Another bowl of bitter medicine as bitter as my life itself. I drank it. You can rest assured now. Chui froze at my words, as if sensing something amiss. But seeing my smile, he could only suppress the unease in his heart. Half an hour passed, and the medicine began to take effect. A searing pain gripped my lower abdomen, warm blood slowly seeping from beneath me. It hurt so much my body ached, but my heart ached even more. I curled up, trying to ease the pain, but it made little difference. Doctor, quick. Come see what's wrong with my wife. Why is she bleeding so much? I heard Chui's panicked, frantic voice, but my consciousness was fading. Chui carried me back to our room. Waiting for the doctor to treat me, he sat by the bedside, clutching my hand tightly. Tears seemed to fall onto the back of my hand. I'm sorry, Ener. I'm so sorry. I promise this is the only time. After this, we'll be the most devoted couple in the capital again. He repeated his apologies over and over, whispering them into my ear. Alas, Chui. What good are apologies now? I thought I saw Mother's figure, holding an indistinct bundle in her arms. She stood not far away, beckoning to me. Tears slid down my cheeks as a faint smile touched my lips. The instant before the physician arrived, my breath ceased entirely. When consciousness returned, I found myself utterly immobilized. I could only perceive the world around me through sound and touch. It seemed to be raining outside, as droplets kept falling onto my face. But the next moment, I suddenly realized it wasn't rain. It was Chui's tears. Ener. How did it come to this? His voice was hoarse, and the atmosphere in the room was oppressively heavy. Ener, wake up. I beg you. Open your eyes and look at me, please. But the only response was deathly silence. The door creaked open as someone pushed it. The moment Chui saw the person, he sprang up from beside me and charged forward like a madman. You said that medicine wouldn't harm Ener. Why did she die? Brother Chu. All medicines carry some risk. It's possible her constitution was different. At that moment, Chui couldn't hear a single word. He grabbed Pei Qingshuan's collar, his eyes red as if they might bleed. Then why didn't you tell me sooner? Now my wife is dead. She's dead. Chui could only rage helplessly at my lifeless body. Pei Qingxian sighed, his voice filled with sympathy. This time, I'm the one who failed you. What good is apologizing now? Can you bring my Ener back to life? Just then, Mu Chinga arrived late. Before even seeing Chui, she began defending her husband, Brother Chui. Pei Lang was only trying to protect me. If you must blame someone, blame me. Her affected, tearful voice made my skin crawl. But the moment she laid eyes on Chui, she shrieked in shock. Ah, Chui, what happened to your hair? How did it all turn white? Even Chui himself had only just noticed. It seemed as though overnight, every strand of his hair had turned silver. They say extreme grief can turn hair white overnight. I listened numbly. So even after my death, Chui still grieved. But wasn't this the outcome he'd most wanted? With me gone, the woman he truly loved could finally rest easy. He wouldn't have to force himself to play along with me anymore. Why put on this act of deep affection now? Brother Chu, please find solace in this change. At this point, Pei Qingxian could only utter these words. He himself couldn't fathom why that medicine had claimed my life. Yet the truth remained me breath had ceased. Upon seeing the lifeless body on the bed, Mu Chinga suppressed the curve of her lips. Brother Chui, I know you only did this for my sake. If you truly harbor resentment, direct it toward me instead. As she spoke, tears began streaming down her face once more. My mother, though the legitimate wife, was constantly overshadowed by that concubine with an imperial decree. Even I, her legitimate daughter, endured constant oppression from my younger half-sisters since childhood. That winter, had she not pushed me into the water, I wouldn't have caught that cold illness, leaving me unable to conceive for so long. Mu Chinga was spouting utter nonsense. Though my mother held an imperial decree, no one in the entire capital held her in any regard. They all believed her wealth and status were gained through opportunism. Yet when the empress faced mortal peril, it was my mother who risked her own life to save her. And in the end, she was reduced to being a concubine, expected to show gratitude. Father never truly liked this concubine forced upon him. As a woman from the northern lands, Mother was naturally robust. Had she not endured such torment? How could she have suffered hemorrhaging and died in childbirth giving birth to me? From childhood onward, I received no parental affection. Everyone insisted I owed my legitimate elder sister. Mu Chinga harbored the deepest hatred toward me. That winter day, she again plotted to harm me. I dodged her attack, but she stumbled and fell into the water. When she awoke, she stubbornly claimed I had pushed her into the lake. I was utterly unable to defend myself, nearly kneeling to death in the Mu family shrine. Yet no one but Mu Chinga knew the truth. Pei Qingxian picked up Mu Chinga with heartfelt tenderness. Turning to leave, before departing, he tossed back one final sentence. Don't blame Chinga for this. If you harbor resentment, direct it at my general's mansion. Chui stared blankly as the two walked away. Finally, as if all strength had drained from his body, he collapsed to the ground. My death could not be concealed forever. Yet somehow, within mere days, the entire capital knew I was dead. Rumors spread with certainty. They claimed the Marquis of Chu, for the sake of General Pei's wife, personally fed his own wife a bowl of abortion potion. Alas, Lady Chu had recently fallen into the water and caught a chill, leaving her body too weak to withstand the potion's effects. Thus, she met a tragic end, taking both her own life and that of the unborn child. This tale spread throughout the capital, known to every soul. My mother-in-law, who had long secluded herself in the Buddhist hall, heard these rumors and was so enraged she snapped her prayer beads. She would never believe I could have lost both lives. After all, she lived right here in the Marquis residence. She'd never heard of my death, nor of my pregnancy, but when she stormed into my bedroom, Chui was dabbing my face with a damp cloth. The whole capital is abuzz with it, and you two have the nerve to be lovey-dovey here. Madame Chu's fury boiled over. She ordered her attendants to pull Chui and me apart. Caught off guard, Chui was yanked to the floor. He tried to rise, but Madame Chu's servants pinned him down. With no cover left, my silent face exposed for all to see, Madame Chu froze in horror, signaling a maid to check my breath. The trembling servant reached out, then recoiled in terror. Lady, she's truly dead. Madame Chu, too, was stunned. She glanced at Chui, who stood in a daze, then noticed his head of white hair. She knew the rumors circulating in the capital might be true. What a tragedy. What kind of bewitching potion did that Lady Pei give you to have my grandson perish so needlessly? How will I face the ancestors of the Chu family when I journey to the underworld? Mother Chu had always been unwavering in her hope that I would conceive. Now, after finally becoming pregnant, both lives were lost. Someone, quickly carry your mistress' body away. Send word to the Duke of Dingguo's residence the funeral is tomorrow. Seeing people move toward my body, Chui finally reacted. He struggled desperately, his voice hoarse. Put down my Inu. She's not dead. She's not dead yet. She's just asleep. Chu found strength from somewhere unknown. Though he hadn't eaten or drunk for 2 days, he still broke free from his restraints. He rushed forward, clutching my body tightly to his chest. Chaos erupted within the room. That very day, Xue Qiwo had been absent all along suddenly burst in. Her entire body was filthy, as if she had just escaped from somewhere. Upon seeing Chu, she knelt directly before him. "Your lordship, I have finally seen you. Please avenge my young mistress. She was deliberately killed." A faint ripple finally stirred in Chui's eyes. Still as stagnant water. "What did you say?" Xue banged her head hard on the floor, her voice wailing pitifully. "Your lordship knows my young mistress was always in perfect health. Even a miscarriage shouldn't have cost her life." Chui's expression deepened with guilt upon hearing the word miscarriage. Chui's mother also found a chair to sit on, her brow tightly furrowed. Blood trickled faintly from Xue Cui's forehead as she continued. "Rumors have long circulated in the capital that your lordship married my young mistress only for the sake of Lady Pei. My young mistress never believed it until that flower viewing banquet, when Lady Pei brought it up herself, saying the Marquis would soon prove it with his actions. This servant saw it with my own eyes. Lady Pei pushed my young mistress, then threw herself into the water. Afterwards, the Marquis rushed to save Lady Pei, while my young mistress nearly drowned before being pulled out." Chui listened, tears streaming down her face before she even realized it. Hearing the true story from another's mouth, she finally understood how utterly absurd her own actions had been. "Continue. I must hear how this Lady Pei killed my grandson." Chu's mother twirled her prayer beads more and more rapidly. Xue recalled that day's despair and wiped away a tear. "That day, Lady Pei came to visit our young mistress. She deliberately revealed that the bracelet the young mistress wore contained contraceptive medicine personally placed there by the Marquis. Then she had the young mistress attend a banquet at the 10,000 gold pavilion the very next day, where she happened to overhear the Marquis and General Pei." Xue hesitated, as if afraid to continue, but Chui understood the unspoken words. "Inner. She knew all along. No wonder she asked me that day if the medicine was bitter and if she could skip it. She knew everything. How laughable that I acted like a fool, thinking my deception was flawless." Tears streamed down Chui's face as she slammed her fist into the ground, drawing blood. "Yet this pain pales in comparison to the agony of losing my child." The young mistress loved the Marquis deeply. Hearing this news broke her heart, and she began to lose all will to live, compounded by the lingering cold she caught after falling into the water. Her body was already utterly weakened. That's why a single bowl of abortion medicine could take her life. Even those rumors were deliberately spread by Lady Pei, who's harbored resentment since childhood over our young mistress' betrothal to General Pei. Chu's mother could bear no more. She hurled the prayer beads in her hand, slamming them into Chui's chest. "You fool! For the sake of such a woman, you've caused my grandson to meet his end." Chui slowly raised his head, his eyes blazing with the fire of hatred. It was a sight to make one's blood run cold. The Yangon Marquis residence set up a memorial altar for me overnight. Xue attended to every detail, saying she was fulfilling her duty as a loyal servant. Once everything was arranged, she stayed by my side, whispering softly in my ear, "Miss, the memorial hall will be set ablaze at noon. We can slip away in the chaos." I lay still within the hall, listening to the faint, intermittent sobs around me. The first to pay his respects was my so-called father. Even as his blood-related daughter, I could not hear a single word of regret from him. "Marquis Chu, you should address the rumors circulating in the capital promptly. Chinga is restless and unable to eat or sleep at the Pei residence." His tone, so strictly businesslike, even made Chui feel incredulous. "Father-in-law, today is Einer's funeral. She is your daughter too." This seemed to be the first time Chui had ever spoken on my behalf. Father's face flushed with embarrassment. He swept his gaze around the room before speaking in a deep voice. "Life and death are predestined. This was her fate, by not leaving true. Bless for the living. She died a worthy death." I had long anticipated what kind of man he would be, speaking with lofty principles, yet ultimately indifferent, with no expectations. There was no disappointment. It was Chu-yi who suddenly felt that the once benevolent Uncle Mu had become frighteningly unfamiliar. Next arrived Her Majesty the Empress, the paragon of imperial grace. I heard the crowd chanting "Long live." As they knelt and bowed, what an immense spectacle. All the suffering my mother and I endured in this life stemmed from her. She smugly repaid kindness by trapping my mother in this cannibalistic capital, then bound me to her nephew through betrothal. Earning praise for repaying kindness with gratitude, she made me a figure of fear while denying me the means to protect myself. Now my mother is long dead, and I lie in a coffin myself. Yet she still sits securely upon her throne. Mother Fanine saved my life. I watched Fanine come into this world. Now I must bury my child before my own time. How can I face Mother Fanine? Her grief seemed to choke her speech, leaving her only to weep, face buried in her hands. Yet this scene felt utterly hollow. After clinging to that debt for over a decade, she couldn't even remember my mother's name. Fanine's mother, how laughable. Chu-yi mechanically returned the bow, kowtowing in gratitude. The Empress merely offered a few perfunctory words of consolation. Then, citing pressing palace affairs, she hurriedly departed. This half-day had allowed Chu-yi to witness the world's fickle nature firsthand. The hatred in his eyes only deepened. By the time Mu Qingge and Pei Qingxian arrived, the sun was nearing noon. Pei Qingxian did not enter to pay his respects. Instead, he pulled Chu-yi aside to exchange pleasantries before the crowd. He likely intended to dispel the rumors circulating in the capital through his actions. Left alone, Mu Qingge reluctantly entered my memorial hall. The moment she stepped inside, someone noticed a sudden gust of wind stirring around them. Within moments, dark clouds began gathering thickly over the capital's skies. Just as she raised 3 incense sticks, facing my spirit tablet to bow in reverence, a thunderclap erupted from the heavens. Immediately after, a bolt of lightning struck straight toward Mu Qingge. Someone cried out in alarm. "Oh no! Fire!" The mourners instantly panicked, scattering in all directions without a clue. Mu Qingge, too, was terrified into collapsing on the ground, fueled by the gale. The flames instantly spread from the memorial hall, becoming uncontrollable. Amidst the chaos, someone shouted out, "This weather is far too strange." And it just happened to turn bad the moment Lady Pei entered. Could it be true, as the capital rumors claimed, that Lady Chu's death was connected to Lady Pei? Now Lady Chu's vengeful spirit has returned to claim Lady Pei's life. Pei Qingxian glared fiercely at the speaker, his warning gaze making the man tremble. Gritting his teeth, he tried to charge into the flames to save people, but the burning beams had snapped, blocking their path. Lady Chu's mother arrived with servants just in time, directing the crowd to fight the fire. Chu-yi, finally coming to his senses, watched from afar as my coffin was consumed by the raging flames. He struggled to break through the mourners, but the men brought by Lady Chu's mother held him back with all their might. "Let me go, Iner. My Iner is still inside," he screamed hoarsely, yet could only watch helplessly as the raging flames burned relentlessly before his eyes. Madame Chu, frustrated beyond words, raised her hand and slapped Chu-yi hard across the face. "Snap out of it. Mu Fanine is dead. Going in now will only retrieve a corpse. If anything happens to you, you'll take my life with you." At that moment, I lay within the coffin, slowly opening my eyes. I watched Mu Qingge huddled in the corner, trembling violently, her mouth repeatedly crying out for help. When I appeared before her in white robes, her eyes widened in terror. "Ghost. A ghost. Don't come near me, Mu Fanine. Chu-yi is the one who killed you. Settle your grievances with him, didn't come after me." Her words were already incoherent as she watched my figure draw nearer. Her eyes rolled back, and she fainted outright. Chue Chue snorted coldly. "Truly, too many guilty deeds weigh heavy." She handed me a human skin mask. Using the flames as cover, After donning the mask, I positioned the prearranged corpse. Together with Shui, we slipped out through the rear hall where the fire burned less fiercely, turning back to the raging inferno. I couldn't tell if it was my imagination. Amidst the chaos, I locked eyes with someone. Chui stood there, his white hair disheveled. He looked like a demon crawling up from hell. Miss, word has come from the north. Master is eagerly awaiting your return. Seated in the carriage, Shuetsue excitedly recounted the letter's contents to me. It was only recently that I learned my mother had once been the daughter of a wealthy family in the north. My maternal grandfather, gravely ill, had heard the rumors swirling through the capital. He felt deeply guilty for failing to protect my mother back then. This time, he was determined to shield me at all costs. He sent numerous men solely to escort me back to the north. My original intention was to stay. I truly believed Chui loved me sincerely. That's why I tested him at the flower viewing banquet. Mu Chinga didn't push me, but I still lost utterly. Miss. This time it's Mu King's turn to be left speechless. I couldn't help but hate them. Couldn't forget everything only by leaving. Then everything I endured. They should feel it too. The fake death potion. The abortion potion. And the rumors that spread across the capital after my supposed death. All were my revenge upon them. Only my child in the womb was truly lost to me. But Chui would pay the price for this in the end. Our carriage halted at a post station outside the capital for rest and supplies. We happened upon a group gathered in conversation. Have you heard? Rumors are thick in the capital that fire at the Yangon Marquis estate was suspicious. Shui edged closer. Intrigued. The Yangon Marquis. Tell me more. The speaker glanced back at us before casually propping one leg on a stool. Let me tell you. He began solemnly. That blaze at the Yangon Marquis estate. It was the vengeful spirit of the Marquis' wife at work. Otherwise, how come no one else was hurt? Yet Lady Pei alone suffered burns to her face. She keeps screaming about ghosts. I say she's gone completely mad. That's true, but I heard the two ladies were sisters. How did they turn against each other? That's a long story. Listening, I couldn't help but nod silently. Could have thought the people I sent out were so capable. Now even the outskirts of the capital are buzzing with tales of my feud with Muchinga. Most versions, though, paint me as the pitiful concubine's daughter oppressed by my legitimate elder sister. A perfect little victim. Mu King's years of carefully cultivated reputation completely shattered. Satisfied my goal was achieved, I stepped forward and pulled Shui away. Enough listening. Grandfather is waiting for us at home. This journey home, which had taken me over 20 years, was finally nearing its end. During my first spring festival in the northern lands, news reached me from the capital. Yangon Marquis Chui had gathered substantial evidence, presenting it in court to accuse the Pei family of forming factions for personal gain and plotting rebellion. And conspiring alongside them was none other than the Dingwa Mu family. The evidence was irrefutable, leaving no room for defense. The emperor flew into a rage, immediately stripping Empress Pei of her title, demoting her to commoner status, and ordering her execution without delay. Pei Qingxian, the Dingwa Duke, and other principal conspirators were guilty of treason. They were sentenced to death by boiling, and their entire families were confiscated as state slaves. The messenger added a final note. Lady Pei, Mu Chinga, fled onto the streets during the military raid on her household. Her hair was disheveled, her body filthy, and she repeated one phrase incessantly. I didn't push her. When she was found again, she was already a corpse. I closed the letter and placed it on the candlestick to burn. Accompanied by Shuetsue, I went to the ancestral hall to offer incense for my mother. Mother, did you see? Your daughter has avenged you. The Pei family also originated from the northern lands. Back then, the empress treated my mother merely as a tool to court the capital's powerful families. She never regarded my mother as a human being, ignoring my mother's protests. She insisted on bringing her to the capital. After marrying into the Duke of Ding's household, my father and his wife were indeed affectionate. Yet they were all pitiable souls bound by imperial power. Had he not loved her, he could have easily treated my mother as dispensable. Yet, out of spite toward his lawful wife, he stormed into my mother's chambers and fathered a child with her. Unable to protect my mother, he fueled his wife's resentment and jealousy, leading to her untimely demise. Since these people never regarded my mother as human, they must pay the price for their actions. As for Pei King Swan, a fool who misjudged character and treated human life with contempt, why should my child be expected to pave the way for others? Mu Chinga merely empathized with what I had endured. Miss, there's another letter here. It seems to concern the Yangon Marquis. Shui Chui opened the letter, glanced at the beginning, then handed it to me. I took it, pondered for a long while, then finally unfolded it. The letter stated that after the treason case concluded, Chui went to the northern city wall and leaped to his death. Blood stained his white hair crimson. In his hand, he clutched a jade pendant engraved with the character for blessing. It seemed as if someone heard him whisper, "Forgive me." Lady Chu, now advanced in years, had been greatly weakened by this ordeal and was confined to her bed. The Chu family, the Yangon Marquis, had fallen into complete ruin. Shui Chui, it's time to prepare for the New Year's Eve family banquet, I ordered in a flat tone, my gaze drifting to the snow blanketing the courtyard. Mu Fanyin had already died in the capital. It was time to let go of everything that had come before. The end.